I have applied all of the best practices to my syllabus Word document demonstrated in the previous videos. I have created well-structured content with headings, descriptive text for hyperlinks that will open outside of the Blackboard frame should the document be converted to other file formats. The image contains alt text, and the table is simple and contains a text explanation along with identification of the header row. My last step is to convert the syllabus document to multiple file formats. Multiple file formats help ensure that the students will be able to open your course content with their respective technologies. By default, Word documents are saved in a proprietary format. Fortunately, it's easy to save Word documents in alternate formats, such as PDF, Adobe's portable document format, HTML, hypertext markup language, and RTF, rich text format. I'll demonstrate how to convert a Word document to PDF and HTML for this demonstration. PDF is widely used on the web for course content. It is a good format to consider for course content as the software to view it is already installed on most systems. HTML is the most accessible type of content as it does not require additional software to view and works well with screen readers. After watching this video, you should be able to save your Word documents as PDF and HTML. To demonstrate how to create multiple file formats, I'll use the Syllabus Word template that I downloaded from the GRCC website at grcc.edu/syllabus. I already completed customization of the syllabus for my course section. I'll first convert the syllabus to PDF format and then HTML. When you create a PDF from your Word document, be sure to save it as a tagged PDF so that all the work that you did in Word to make it accessible will be exported to the PDF file too. I'm using Word 2013, but the process is similar to Word 2010. Creating tagged accessible PDFs can only be done using Microsoft Word on a PC, not Mac. Mac users will need to purchase the full version of Adobe Acrobat to complete the process I'm about to demonstrate. To get started with converting this Word document to PDF, I'll click the File tab located on the upper left of the screen to open Backstage View. Next, click Save As, located on the left side in the center. I'll choose where I want to save it. I'll click Desktop so that it's easy to find later. After I choose where I want to save the file, the Save As dialog box opens. From the Save As Type drop-down menu located towards the bottom of the screen, I'll choose PDF. Next, I'll click the Options button located in the bottom center of the Save As dialog box. There are two options that you want on in this dialog box. The first one is Create Bookmarks Using, and be sure Headings is selected. The second is Document Structure Tags for accessibility. After the two options are on, click OK to close the Options dialog box. Finally, I'll click Save, and that closes the Save As dialog box. After I have saved the Word document as PDF, I have it set up so that I can immediately see the PDF document in Adobe Reader, the software that is used to view PDFs. Everything looks good, therefore I'll close the reader. The PDF file is now sitting on my desktop, ready for me to include into my Blackboard course. I'll come back to that later. I'm back to my syllabus in Microsoft Word. I have converted my Word document to one file format, PDF. Now I'll look at a second format, HTML. As I mentioned earlier, HTML hypertext markup language is the most accessible type of content as it does not require additional software to view and works well with screen readers. Creating an HTML file in Blackboard is done by copying the entire Word syllabus to the clipboard and then pasting it into a content area in Blackboard. Before I create the HTML version of this Word document, there is one important revision that is necessary. When I first created the document, I used the styles in the Styles group on the home ribbon to create headings that are well structured, easy to understand for all learners, including those using a screen reader. In the previous videos, I demonstrated how to set up and revise the headings for your document. Please refer to the video titled Create Well-Structured Microsoft Word Documents with Headings, Parts 1 and 2, for a review on how to do this, as I will not demonstrate the process in great detail here. I applied the Heading 1 style to the title of my syllabus. My insertion point is currently in the title, and notice the Heading 1 style in the Styles group on the Home tab. For general information, I used the Heading 2 style. For instructor name, the next level down, I used Heading 3, and so on. This is correct in how you want the structure set up for Word documents and PDFs that open outside of the Blackboard frame. When I create the HTML version of this document, it will open inside the Blackboard frame. Because the HTML version of the syllabus will open inside the Blackboard frame, I need to revise the headings 1, 2, and 3 so that they do not conflict with what Blackboard is using for the course management system. I switched to a browser and I'm looking at one of my courses in Blackboard. I'm viewing the syllabus already converted to HTML. I will show you how I did that shortly. This HTML syllabus is inside of the Blackboard frame. The frame is the blue area on the left and at the top of the screen. The white area is a content area in Blackboard where I have my HTML syllabus. Also, notice that I did not need to open the syllabus in any special software. It is conveniently and immediately available on the screen for the learner. In the previous video about Word's Accessibility Checker, I mentioned a few free accessibility tools that are available for download on the web. I pointed out the Wave toolbar that I downloaded, installed, and use with the Firefox browser. The Wave toolbar is at the top of my screen. One of the features of the Wave toolbar is that it allows me to see how everything that is viewable in the browser window is structured. I'll use the Wave Accessibility toolbar now to see the structure of the contents in this window. You do not need to use this toolbar. I'm only doing so now to help you understand how Blackboard's structure works in relation to the structure you add for faculty course content. From the top left of my screen, I'll click Wave and then Structure Order. There are quite a few tags here to show some of the structure for the elements in the Blackboard frame and the syllabus that I created in the content area. Pay attention to the H1, H2, and H3 tags I circled in red and green. These tags represent the Heading 1, Heading 2, and Heading 3, the structure of the elements in the browser window. The headings circled in red are the headings the Blackboard course management system is using. You can see Blackboard used Heading 1 for the syllabus, Heading 3 for the lower level syllabus, and there is another Heading 3 on the left for the name of the course. You can't see all the headings here that Blackboard is using, but this should give you an idea of the structure for the Blackboard course management system. Unfortunately, I'm using the same structure for my syllabus. Circled in green is the Heading 1 for the title of my syllabus, Heading 2 for the next level down, General Information, and Heading 3 for another level down, Instructor Name, etc. When the syllabus is viewed as HTML inside of the Blackboard frame, the headings 1, 2, and 3 I used conflict with the headings 1, 2, and 3 already used by Blackboard's course management system. Remember, screen readers use headings as a means of navigation. Having two sets of the same headings can become confusing to a learner using a screen reader. I need to revise my headings to lower levels. I will use headings 4, 5, and 6. This way, the headings will drill down from the top level that Blackboard is using to the lower level headings I'll use for my course content. To summarize so far, it is only the faculty course content that is within the Blackboard frame that the heading structure may conflict. If this syllabus is in another file format and viewed outside of the Blackboard frame, there is no heading structure conflict. Blackboard uses headings 1, 2, and 3 for the course management system. Therefore, any course content I create that is viewed within the Blackboard frame as you see here, that content needs to use lower level headings, headings 4, 5, and 6. What I'll do next is revise the heading structure of my syllabus to fit within the structure of the headings already used by Blackboard. I switch back to the word syllabus. I'll change the headings 1, 2, and 3 to headings 4, 5, and 6. I have headings 4, 5, and 6 viewable in the Styles group on the Home tab. If you cannot see these headings in your Microsoft Word, you'll need to turn them on. To turn on additional headings, click the dialog box launcher located on the lower right of the Styles group on the Home ribbon. This opens the Styles task pane. In the previous video tutorial titled Creating Well-Structured Microsoft Word Documents Part 2, I demonstrated how to use the task pane in detail. At the bottom of the task pane, click the third button from the left for Manage Styles. This opens the Manage Styles dialog box. Next, be sure you're on the Recommend tab. For each heading that you want to appear in the Styles group on the Home ribbon, click the heading to select it, and then click the Show button. I already have all my headings available in the Styles group and do not need to turn them on. I'll need to change the headings 1, 2, and 3 to 4, 5, and 6 respectively. I'll start with the title at the top of my document. I'll click once to select it. The title is currently a heading 1. I want to change it to a heading 4. So in the Styles group on the Home ribbon, I'll position my mouse pointer over heading 4, right-click, and then choose Update Heading 4 to match selection. Notice the navigation pane on the left. The title of my syllabus indented to indicate it is now a lower level heading, heading 4 in this case. So far, I changed the heading 1 of my document to heading 4. Next, I'll change all the heading 2s in my document to heading 5s. I'll select General Information, which is a heading 2. Next, I'll right-click heading 5 in the Styles group on the Home ribbon, and then choose Update Heading 5 to match selection. I'll repeat this process for all heading 2s in my documents. The next heading 2 is Section Policies. Click it once to select it. Right-click heading 5, update heading 5 to match selection. Next is College Policies. Click it once to select it. Right-click heading 5 in the Styles group on the Home ribbon, and again choose Update Heading 5 to match selection. Next is Learning Resources. I added this to my syllabus earlier. Click it once to select it. Right-click Heading 5, Update Heading 5 to match selection. And finally, Changes to the Syllabus. Click it once to select it. Right-click Heading 5, Update Heading 5 to match selection. The title of my syllabus has a heading 4. The next level down is heading 5. The navigation pane reflects these changes with how the outline is now indented. Finally, I need to change all the heading 3s to a heading 6. I'll start with the instructor name at the top of the syllabus. I'll click it once to select it. Right-click heading 6 in the Styles group on the Home ribbon, and choose Update Heading 6 to Match Selection. Next is Contact Information. I'll click it once to select it. Right-click Heading 6, Update Heading 6 to Match Selection. Course Information, currently Heading 3. Right-click Heading 6, Update Heading 6 to Match Selection. I paused the video and then revised the rest of the headings to save time. At this point, it may be a good idea to save the revised syllabus with a new name. I do not want to overwrite my original, as I may want to use it in the future for other purposes. So I'll click File, Save As, save it to my desktop for now, and I'll just call it Syllabus 4, 5, and 6. In the past, I have used Word's Web Page Filtered option to create the HTML, as it helped to clean up the HTML markup and transferred better into a content area in Blackboard. Some of you may be familiar with this method: File, Save As, and then from the drop-down menu, Web Page Filtered. However, according to Blackboard's design strategist, with Blackboard's Service Pack 12, which is the most recent version of Blackboard at GRCC as of fall 2013, I no longer need to do this. Instead, all I need to do is a simple copy and paste. Copy the syllabus from Word and paste it into a content area in Blackboard to create the HTML. The next few steps are the conversion process from Word to HTML using copy and paste. First, I'll select everything in the syllabus. An easy way to select everything is Control-A or Command-A on the Mac. Next, to copy it to the clipboard, I'll use another keyboard shortcut, Control-C or Command-C on the Mac. Now that I have my syllabus copied to the clipboard, I've switched to my Blackboard course. I clicked Course Information from the main navigation on the left. I already created a content folder for my syllabus as seen near the top. To create this content folder, I clicked Build Content and then Content Folder, and that's what you're looking at right here. This is where I want to paste my Word document so that it becomes an HTML version. I'll add an item inside my content folder so that I can paste the syllabus into a visual text box editor. To do that, I'll click Build Content and then Item. For the name, I'll type Syllabus. Next, I'll click to position my insertion point in the visual text box editor. Now I'll paste my syllabus into this text box. I'll use the keyboard shortcut Control-V or Command-V on the Mac. Now that I have pasted my syllabus into the text box, I'll go ahead and click Submit. I'll again use the Wave Accessibility toolbar to see the structure of all the elements in the browser window. Again, it is not necessary for you to do this step. I'm only doing this now to help you understand how Blackboard's course management system structure fits with the faculty course content that you create. From the top left of my screen, I'll click Wave, and then again I'll click Structure Order. The headings circled in red are the headings the Blackboard course management system is using. You can see Blackboard use heading 1 for the syllabus, heading 3 for the lower level syllabus, and there is another heading 3 on the left for the name of the course. You can't see all of the headings here that Blackboard is using, but this should give you an idea of the structure for the Blackboard course management system. Next, look at the headings for the course content I created, circled in green. The syllabus title has a heading 4. The next level down for general information is a heading 5. Another level down for instructor name is a heading 6. The heading structure for the faculty course content no longer conflicts with the heading structure used by the Blackboard course management system. This structure will make much more sense for a learner using a screen reader. I turned off the Wave Accessibility toolbar. We now have the syllabus available for students as HTML, the most accessible type of content, as it does not require additional software to view and works well with screen readers. I still have one more step to complete this syllabus. When I scroll down to the Required Materials section, I notice the image of my textbook with a link to Cengage is missing. Images do not copy and paste with the text in the Word document. I'll go into edit mode for my syllabus so that I can again insert the image of the textbook. So I'll click Syllabus and then Edit. Next, I'll scroll down to the Required Materials section and place my insertion point after the paragraph. On the lower left of the text box editor toolbar, I'll click the Insert Edit Image button. If you don't see this button, look to the right of the text box editor. You'll need to use the Show Less, Show More button. I'll click the Insert Edit Image button. This opens the Insert Edit Image dialog box, and then I'll click the Browse My Computer button. I'll locate my textbook image, click it once to select it, and then click Open. I need to again add the alt text. To add the alt text, I'll click in the Image Description text box. The image description is alt text. I already copied the alt text to the clipboard, and I'll go ahead and paste it here with Control-V or Command-V on the Mac. The title is optional and will provide a screen tip if you use it. Next, I'll click Insert to close the dialog box. I would like to again include the link to the Cengage website for the students to find additional information about the book and resources. With the image of the book selected, I'll click the Insert Edit Link button. In the link path text box, I'll add the URL, that is the website address, that I already copied to the clipboard, and I'll just paste it in here now with Control-V or Command-V on the Mac. To prevent the Cengage site from opening inside the Blackboard frame, I'll choose Open New Window Blank. In the previous video titled Create Text and Image Hyperlinks Using Microsoft Word, I explained the usability issues that can occur when content is open inside of the Blackboard frame, including reduced space to view the content and the inability for users to link directly to or bookmark the page within the frame. Finally, I'll click Insert to close the dialog box. At this time, I'll look at adding one more image for the syllabus. The image that I want to add is purely presentational, and I'll do so just for demonstration purposes. In the video titled Alt Text for Graphics in Microsoft Word, I recommended to not include images that are for decoration only, such as an image border, decorative bullets, or clip art that is not relevant to the content. One important limitation of Microsoft Word is that the software does not make it possible to tell screen readers to ignore a decorative graphic. In this HTML version of the syllabus, here in the Blackboard text box editor, it is possible to add empty alt text so that the screen reader will ignore it. In the next few steps, I'll demonstrate how to let a screen reader know that it can ignore the image. I'll scroll down to the Grading Policy section of the syllabus. I'll click to position my insertion point just above Grading Policy. From the text box editor toolbar, I'll again click Insert Edit Image button. This opens the Insert Edit Image dialog box. I'll click Browse My Computer to find the image that I want to insert. And here's the clip art I'll use. Click it once to select and then click Open. Remember, in Blackboard, the image description is the alt text. My insertion point is positioned in the image description text box. Next, all I need to do is press the space bar once. In the background, this creates an empty alt text value in the HTML. Finally, I'll click the Insert button to close the dialog box. The decorative image is included in the syllabus. A sighted person will just skip over it, and a visually impaired person will now be able to skip over it too. For those of you that may be interested in learning more, I'll briefly show you what the empty alt text looks like in the HTML. From the text box editor toolbar, I'll click the HTML Code View button. This opens the HTML code view. Here is the alt attribute for the image element. Notice it is empty. There is nothing between the quotes. This will let the screen reader know it can ignore this image. I'll click Cancel to close the HTML code view dialog box. Even though it is possible to add decorative graphics in the HTML version of this syllabus and have a screen reader ignore the graphic, faculty should consider if it is necessary. Graphics should be included when it is relevant to the content, not only to serve as a distraction. I do not feel this particular graphic is necessary, so therefore I'll click it once to select it and press the delete key on my keyboard. Earlier I mentioned that multiple file formats help ensure that your students will be able to view information with their respective technologies. I have the most accessible file format here, HTML. It may be a good idea to provide one additional format. I'll use the PDF file I created earlier. This file is especially nice for students that may want to save it to their flash drive or print the document. I'll scroll down to the number 2 section for attachments. Next, I'll click Browse My Computer button. This opens the file upload window, and then I'll locate the PDF file that I created earlier. I clicked the syllabus PDF file I created earlier to select it, and now I'll click Open to close the dialog box. Now that I have attached the file, I'll scroll down and click the Submit button. Notice the attached PDF file is at the top of the content area. I have been using the Advanced Windows course throughout the videos to demonstrate skills. I'll show you another course where I have applied all of the same techniques and best practices. This course is set up exactly the same way, except I use different coordinating colors. I'll click Course Information on the main navigation on the left, and then go into the syllabus here. The structure for this syllabus is identical to the previous example and will work well in screen readers. Please see the video titled Create Well-Structured Microsoft Word Documents with Headings Part 2 for a demonstration how to customize the colors and format for your course materials and still retain the structure. To summarize, multiple file formats help ensure that your students will be able to view your faculty course content with their respective technologies. By default, Word documents are saved in a proprietary format, and some students may not be able to view it. PDF is Adobe's portable document format. PDF is widely used on the web and for course content. It is a good format to consider as the software to view it is already installed on most systems. When you create a PDF from your Word document, be sure to save the file as a tagged PDF so that all the work you did to make it accessible will be exported to the PDF file too. We created a tagged PDF with words Save As dialog box at the beginning of this video. HTML is the most accessible type of content as it does not require additional software to view and works well with screen readers. I copied the syllabus document from Word and pasted it into a content area in Blackboard. This copy and paste process creates the HTML version. This is the conclusion of the UDL Accessibility series of 8 video tutorials. Universal Design for Learning, UDL, is a way to help all students be more successful. Part of student success is the creation of electronic documents that are usable and understandable by a wide range of people, including those that may have a disability. Creating course content that is well structured with headings, contains descriptive links, alt text for graphics, data tables that are simple, contain a text explanation, and marked with header rows, checking the content with an accessibility checker, along with providing content in multiple file formats, all help students to succeed.